The Hazbin Hotel hype has still been fresh and coursing through my very soul. The songs, the voice acting, and even a bit of the world building have all been quite the treat to watch so far, but obviously this show has had far from a flawless start. With one big problem that's been hard for me to ignore, and I'm sure many others have felt the same way, at least to some kind of degree. Hazbin Hotel has been through quite a long journey over the internet, from the comics to the pilot that's already 4 years old now, to A24 picking up the pilot to turn it into a full series just a year after that. It's incredible the journey this series went on, and to actually get greenlit and produced by a major network as well as streamable via Prime Video, it's extremely impressive. The wait was a long one, but now that it's actually out, I'd say the wait was pretty damn worth it, yet I can't ignore the giant issue that's been present since episode 1. The pacing has felt like it's been going 1,000 miles per hour in just about every single episode so far. There's groups of people out there who'd occasionally meme on shows like Steven Universe, Amphibia, or Owl House having too many episodic or non-plot related episodes in a row during certain sections of a season, which is already a very dumb take for those shows to begin with, because the beauty of those formats is it allows for some breathing room to spend more time with the bigger cast of characters. Hazbin is something that could have greatly benefited from something like this. For a show that's already got a bigger core cast than Hell of a Boss, the fact that the pacing for this first season has been as fast as Hell of a Boss's second season, something that many people have been criticizing Hell of a Boss for months now, it's not the most ideal situation for Hazbin to already be starting off in such a way. Like I said earlier, it's something that feels very noticeable just from the first few minutes of episode 1. This episode almost feels like an episode 2 rather than an episode 1, with the original pilot serving as the actual episode 1. The pilot being canon still is totally fine, that's not the issue. However, when the super casual audiences who haven't been super tapped into the whole VGMarkis universe for multiple years, or seen the pilot, comics, music videos, or just some of the above, it's gonna feel weird when all these characters are introduced at the same time, and in a way where the show kind of expects you to know what their deal is already. Obviously, I'm one of those people who's been tapped into both Hazbin and Hell of a Boss for multiple years now, and I can still acknowledge these initial character introductions felt a bit sudden. Like, every single one of the main hotel residents besides Sir Pentious all made their official network debut within a few minutes of one another. It does an okay job of showing off these characters' main personality traits, but that's kind of it. Angel's horny, Nifty's crazy, Alistor's devious, Charlie's kind and helpful. All of this on top of the backstory stuff that happened a few minutes prior to these characters' intros, setting up the main conflict of Hell's sinners being exterminated by Heaven's exorcists, so Charlie opens the Hazbin Hotel in an attempt to rehabilitate sinners in hopes they can eventually gain access to heaven. It just feels like a lot in a few minute time span. Granted, whenever songs are present, not only are they extremely catchy, but those serve as the best explanations for these characters in question. Happy Day in Hell and Hell is Forever do a very good job at portraying the kinds of people both Charlie and Adam are in their everyday lives. Charlie, who despite being confined to hell her entire life and being the literal daughter of Lucifer, the ruler of the whole place, she's still a very bright-eyed woman who always tries to see the good in people, no matter what kind of past they have. Then there's Adam, who through his verses in Hell is Forever showed us just what an entitled bastard he is. This guy would fit in with the celestial dragons from One Piece perfectly. Someone who is so obviously far from perfect, yet views himself and the people he associates with as such superior beings to everyone in hell, to the point where even when Charlie tries to have an honest negotiation with him when she stood in for Lucifer for the extermination meeting, he completely brushed off the idea of the hotel, finding the idea of sinners redeeming themselves to be so laughable, and hell is just a place where these people belong until their inevitable next death via extermination. Something he admits he finds entertaining. So much so that they decide to make these mass murders occur twice a year instead of once now, resulting in the hotel being on even more of a time crunch than before to reduce the amount of killings during the next extermination. It's a solid setup for the inevitable endgame mini-war that's going to happen at the end of the season. Though I personally think Adam in this whole meeting might have been done too early as well. It probably would have hit a lot harder if this happened around the halfway point or something. Charlie was already getting extremely emotional by the end of the meeting and starting to doubt her dream a little. Imagine how much more messed up this would have been if this meeting took place after everything that Charlie witnessed with Angel Dust and Valentino. Hopefully that doesn't sound too insane to be wishing, extra emotional pain on someone, but it would have made me as a viewer feel a lot more empathy towards her as a result. Then when she returns to the hotel to see all her crew giving her some kind of surprise to lift her spirits up again, maybe it would have needed to be something other than a commercial for this hypothetical scenario to cheer Charlie up. Even still, the emotions from the characters and myself watching would have have been more intense if this happened later. Either way, it still gets a solid grade for me. Episode 2 definitely improved in many ways compared to episode 1. The entire dynamic and song duet from Alastor and Vox is still one of my favorite things in the entire series so far. Those two bounce off each other so well. Also, to those who think their outfits may look too similar and that's a bad thing, it's 1000% an intentional choice. These guys are two sides of the same coin. You know, just try to think of them like Mario and Wario or Luigi and Waluigi. Valentino's introduction, on the other hand, was a bit of a questionable one in some ways. Oddly enough, I think the way his intro was handled may have been one of the few instances, along with the other Vs, where the first-time viewers and more casual audiences don't feel like things moved too fast at first with this specific character, because the Vs didn't really have any kind of legitimate role until now. Problem with Valentino is the fans who've been following for as long or longer than I have know how much of a sick and twisted individual he is. So to have his introduction into the main series feel like kind of a meme where he's being played off for comedy and being Vox's bitch the entire time, it's a little strange, especially when things got turned up to 1,000 when Valentino returns in episode 4. Giving a trigger warning for y'all though, because a lot of his screen time in this episode that I'm using for clips can be tough to look at even without dialogue. I still think that whole situation was handled as well as it could have been. All the horrible things Angel had to go through, eventually confiding in Husk, where they shared an incredible duet about how broken individuals like them can find some semblance of comfort with each other's company and maybe even strive to move forward some more in life. I.e., You're a Loser, Baby. Having a hard time deciding whether that or Stayed Gone is my favorite song right now. Even the build-up with Angel and Val's relationship felt fairly well-paced for current Hazbin pacing standards, showing us how overbearing Val can be through his constant polarizing voicemails, with his hold on Angel being so strong that even when he's not there, Angel still doesn't feel safe. I mean, how could he? He owns his soul. But to backtrack a little, episode 3 had a lot of the pacing problems I've been annoyed with, mainly around Vaggie and the Fallen Angel side plot that Adam reacted to at the end of episode 1. Vaggie's probably been my least favorite character so far out of the main cast. I don't hate her or anything, but it feels like she can't really function without Charlie being with her. I mean, she basically says that at a point during her trust-building exercises with the other guests. At that current moment, with the information we have, it's just very hard to feel much for her character. Yet this episode is being paced in a way where they really want us to resonate with Vaggie during her song about wanting to be Charlie's armor or whatever. It's hard for me to get on that level for a character we know so little about or have had so little time invested into. At this point, it feels like Sir Pentious has been given more care to as a character than Vaggie, which, don't get me wrong, I'm not upset for him going down the path of redemption and getting some attention, but you'd think the literal right-hand woman of the Hazbin Hotel would have a bit more meat to her character than what we've been given so far, and have it, paced better too. I appreciate her dedication to Charlie's cause, just wish there was, more build-up to make that song of hers hit more than it did, if any at all. Having this happen in the 3rd episode just seems way too quick. Even then, the idea of her questioning her own self-worth just to sing about being there for Charlie anyway, like she has been this whole time, is strange in itself to me, but that's not what I'm trying to focus on too much here. Now, for the Dead Angel plotline, I was already under the assumption the reveal of who killed the angel was going to be revealed before the end of the season anyway. This was a plotline I was really looking forward to, like learning who did it, how they did it, and why they did it. Unfortunately, the show handled this in a pretty messy way. When they reveal who did it, said person who did do it was introduced in the exact same episode we find out. It's not the fact that we found out in episode 3 that annoys me, it's the fact that this character, aka Carmilla Carmine, had maybe 5 minutes of screen time before we found out she was the angel killer. Eventually, she ends up breaking out into the song about why she did what she did. Basically, she was someone who always tried to avoid getting her hands dirty directly, but when the angel pulled up, she did what she had to do to protect the one she cared about, planning on continuing to keep her secret of doing this as best as she can, as a way to avoid hell getting too out of control over the news and the risk of her loved ones getting hurt again. Respectable code to live by, don't get me wrong, but again, why did this reveal have to happen in the same episode of her official character debut? My hope was it was going to be revealed that someone from the hotel did it. Vaggie being the one to do it would have been cool, to be honest, especially to build more on the idea of her being a fallen angel like many have been theorizing about, like, she's the guardian angel of the Hazbin Hotel or something. I feel like even if Carmilla just appeared just one extra time in some kind of relevant capacity, it would have been way more passable than what we ended up actually getting. Everything was just moving so damn fast. With all these cards on the table, it's something I can't really put blame on the crew entirely for, because the issue with having your shows on these bigger networks like this is, in most cases, you won't know if you're going to be getting renewed for another season while the first one is still being worked on. So the idea of these guys constructing the first season with the idea that they might not get renewed for another one is very possible, and I'm willing to bet this was the case. When you add that on top of the first season being confined to 8 episodes that are around 22 minutes each, it's one of those things where you gotta just charge it to the game at some degree. But even still, I feel like there could have been some workarounds the crew could have done to compensate for some of these pacing issues. All in all, I'm still quite satisfied with the product we've gotten so far, as well as, super happy for the amount of support it has been getting. It's currently sitting in the 80% range for both critic and audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, with some of the songs being uploaded to the Prime YouTube video channel. Loser Baby in particular holding a spot on the top 5 and trending at one point. Still looking forward to what the rest of the series has in store for us, and wishing nothing but the best for the people involved. Best case scenario, they'll be able to tell the full story they want to, with the pacing hopefully getting better as more content is greenlit. Only time will tell though. Let me know in the comments below your overall thoughts on Hazbin right now, and if you agree or disagree with my takes on the pacing thus far. I'd love to know your thoughts. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like down below and subscribe for more content like this in the future. But for now, I will see you guys next time. Peace out, take care, bye bye.